All right, so again, it's important. I'm recording now, so it's important that we see our swing, that we know what we're trying to correct, see the differences between us and what the best do. Okay, so we'll kind of play it through here one time. We're looking at, on the bottom left is one of the players I'm working with from Tulane, and then on the bottom right is Adrian Gonzalez, a major leaguer. Okay, so when I look at a swing, I'm looking at three main areas. Okay, I'm looking at the back leg, I'm looking at the front side, which is really what we're trying to hit against or hit behind, and we're looking at the back arm, which is really what controls how the bat moves to the baseball. Okay, the back leg's really simple. It's got to do two things. It's got to get ready, okay, and it's got to go. Okay, so we're looking here at Evan as he gets ready. There should be a move back to load it. Okay, and when that foot comes up, it's loaded. Okay, so we're making a move back, and you're keeping the weight on the inside pretty well. Knee might be bent a little bit too much. Okay, but that leg, Evan, it's got to get ready and it's got to go every time sideways to the ball. Okay. And so if you look at our pros, you look at the college player, and even you can see that back foot, there's no weight on that back foot, okay? Before, the back foot's unweighted before and through contact with the baseball. You see that? Does that make sense to you? You see that? Okay, you may not have realized that. A lot of you coaches in the past might have told you to stay on your back foot, squish the bug, things like that. Okay, but that back leg unweights. We drive off of that back leg, okay? And you're doing that to some degree. I think you're forcing a little turn on that back leg. Like, for example, if we look here, so their feet are still somewhat sideways. Your foot's starting to turn over a little bit too soon, okay? But be aware of that. So that's more about just understanding, hey, I got to get ready and go every time, okay, whether I swing or not. Okay, so I'm recording. Okay, now let's talk about the front side. Okay, which is really the wall that we're trying to hit against or hit behind. Again, we drive off of the back leg, but we want to hit behind the front side, okay? And when I say front side, I'm basically dividing the body in half, and I'm going up from the front foot through the eyes, okay? And when we see good hitters, we see a tilt in the spine. So if we trace the spinal column, okay, we see a negative tilt in the spine, something like that, okay? We look here with Evan, and because he is, in his mind, he's trying to turn and things are flying open a little too soon, Evan doesn't have much tilt in his spine. It's a more vertical spine, so he's not really behind that front side. He's more like what I like to say is around the front side. Okay, so again with our front side, our goal is to be more tilted with the upper body and less turn. Okay, and so at contact, we can see, our professionals still see the chest. Tulane kid, we still see the chest there. And here on this particular swing, we see Evan's back. And again, he's forcing turn there, and we're getting very little tilt. So there's not a whole lot of leverage there behind it. Okay. And so again, like I told Evan, what we're trying to get is we're trying to take this back leg and drive it into and against this wall on the front side. Okay, and then hit behind that front side. I also talked about how sideways the feet are when we land, and even Evan's feet are sideways here. So we want the feet square when we land, okay? And that front foot, we really want it to stay fairly, sideways through contact. The back leg's gonna turn over, but it's more passive, okay? We don't wanna force that back foot to turn over, okay? That's not where power comes from, rotating the back foot, okay? So we rotate best by not trying to rotate, okay? And so we've got to get more tilt and less turn out of the upper half with Evan there, the ball. So let me state that on here. Okay, let's go to the back arm now. Back arm includes obviously the hand, which is holding the bat, and that really determines the bat's path to the ball, okay? Like I told Evan, you want to think of that back arm as a sidearm throwing motion, okay? He's throwing the ball at us. We want to throw the barrel back against the ball. Okay, and there's a certain perfection that we're looking for with that back arm pattern. Okay, but if you can see the throw, even through contact and finish, the top hand gets over the top or pronates. Every time we throw the hand with the throwing hand will pronate. Okay, so we get the same. It's highly similar to a sidearm throwing action. Okay, so let's look at the start. you see with our advanced hitters at the bottom that there's a lot of activity at the rotator cuff to start. You look at our two-lane player and you look at Adrian Gonzalez here, you can see how the elbow lifts up. Well, all that activity is happening here at the rotator cuff, okay? And you can see Evan there, not a whole lot of activity there at the rotator cuff, so we need to improve upon that. He's kind of loading by more or less, lifting his hands, and the bat is wrapping back behind his head, so he's kind of reaching back to load, and we see some widening at the elbow, okay? As we slide in, advanced hitters keep the barrel on top of the hands, okay? So we see the barrel stacked right on top of the hands here, and they don't wrap it back behind their head. That keeps the bat very light, okay? And so this position of a flat bat increases the weight of the bat essentially, and wrapping it behind the head makes the path too long, okay? So we're going to have to improve that. Okay, we also see when we slide here that the hand is kind of back behind the elbow. Elbow is widening, and that'll lengthen the swing also. You want to see barrel on top of hands, hands on top of elbow. So this wide elbow back here with the flat bat is something we see a lot, and it's an area for improvement. Okay, so essentially what we want to see is we want to see that elbow, okay, and it's really the rotator cuff that's moving, but you're thinking elbow. We want to see that elbow work up and that elbow work to the ball, okay, and again, we don't see much activity there from Evan. We want to see that elbow work to the ball with the barrel still stacked on top of the hands, okay? So there's should be a lot of activity here at the shoulder joint and not really much traveling of the hands. Okay, from here, after we slot, the top hand should throw out and finish the throw, okay? And we should see that contact, that back arm close to finishing, okay? And we see here Evan has a lot of bend at the elbow, whereas they are closer to finishing, okay? Part of that is because they brace up, or they actually, kind of like throwing water out of a bucket. They brace up the body better, which allows the hands and arms to whip out. And we see a lot of flexion here in Evan's elbow there that we want to be closer to finishing there. But if we're focused on turning, we're not going to release those hands, okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit, okay? And then right at contact, if you look at our high-level hitters, you can really see those hands turning over and pronating. And Evan has pretty good hands. In other words, that top hand is really active. And that was one of the things that I saw in the swing that I liked a lot, that his hands turn over really fast, okay? They're a little quicker over the top, but we want to really accentuate Evan's hands and how fast they're getting through. Okay? So it really does come down to three areas you're trying to make perfect. Back arm, back leg, and front side, okay? Work that back leg, works into the front side, and the back arm takes that perfect throwing path. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, here's the take drill. And it's very important for you to understand that every pitch you see for the rest of your life, okay, your back leg is going to load, top of the back shoulder loads, and the back leg goes and the elbow slides. We get to this position here on every pitch you see for the rest of your life. Feet are still square, right? Okay, elbow stacked on top of the hands, okay? So back leg, back elbow, get ready and go on every pitch you see, and you get here every pitch. If you like it, you finish it. If you don't like it, you let it go.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
That's the position. This position is not very good, right? We're laid off, elbow is wide, knee is too bent, collapsing. We don't have a good wall. Okay? This is what professional hitters look like. This is what amateur hitters look like. It's pretty typical.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what all shakes out. Let me comment on putting him a video together. I can put a regular video together tonight.
What'd you do?
All right, so we're taking a look here. Again, we get to this position every time, and you can see how the elbow slots in, and that's where we want to be.